Okay.
So,
Well,
well, I
anyway,
made a lot of money at that. That was, I made quite a bit of money on that. And then Bonnie was working, so we had, basically could live on her salary.
and of course, by this time, we know that I'm pregnant again with Trent. And
Where was the birth control?
there wasn't any. There was denial, I guess, which we probably weren't too good at, I don't know. Anyway, so we get to June, and of course, by this time, we have spent all that money, and but this, you know, school term has ended for Mike, and he gets a job driving for Swartout.
Ed Swartout. Never forget Ed.
Anyway,
Well, there's a good story there too, because
What was the last name?
Swartout. I got out of school in May, didn't have a job. Been looking, but didn't have one, and I was coming from St. Peter, or coming from Mankato to St. Peter on kind of the back way, it was shorter. And I drove by this gravel truck company, and he had a lot of red trucks out there. And so I turned around, wheeled in there, and I went in and I talked to Ernie Swartout. Ernie was the brother to Ed. Ed owned it. Ernie was kind of the, he managed it. He managed all the drivers and stuff. And so I said, hey, I'm here. I just got out of college this spring, and I said, I need a job, and I said, I can drive a gravel truck, and I drove for the guys hauling cement last fall. And he says, okay, he says, where did you grow up? And I said, I grew up on a farm. I said, I drove trucks, drove a lot of things.
Did you have to have a CDL back then?
No. And so he said, yeah, be here Monday morning. Well, I went to work on Monday morning, and we worked 12 hours a day, 6.5 days a week. So
so at
that was a great job.
end of that week,
Well, it was 2 weeks into the mission.
okay.
Jobs everywhere.
I was
Oh.
into the mission, and Ed says, hey, you're a farm kid. He says, we're gonna bale hay on Saturday afternoon. He said, can you come over and load bales for me? I said, sure. So I go out there after I got done driving truck, and was over there working on loading bales, and here comes this old red old Buick. He was coming sailing across the hayfield to beat the band. I thought, what the heck's going on here? He comes out there and he says, honey, he says, your wife's having a baby. He says, get off that rack and get in this car. He says, what's wrong with you anyhow? He said, you should be there. And Ed was a tough old bird. And so he says, okay. All right, I said, okay. And so jumped in the car, and he took me back to my car, and I had 50 cents in my pocket. That's all the money.
We had no money.
We were zero money. I had 50 cents, and I said, Ed, I said, I know I've been working here a couple of weeks and I haven't got a paycheck yet. I said, could you loan me some money against my check? He says, no problem. He reaches in his billfold. I don't know what he handed me, couple 20s or something. It was enough. And so I went into the hospital, and she'd already, I think, delivered.
Probably. Huh.
So,
Yeah.
and that one, I think, I want to tell you that I think Trent's, it was not more than 100 to 150 bucks
To have a baby.
to have a baby. I mean, it was nothing.
It was maybe like $165 actually.
Yeah, it was just, I mean,
That's unbelievable.
I
It is
couldn't believe
unbelievable. But we have to, introduce this caveat that, okay, so 2 weeks before that, I'd had false labor and called my mom, and Mom came to watch YouTube while I went in the hospital. Well, okay, I didn't go. So she, after a few days, she says, I've got to go home. And, wow, I mean, we didn't know what we were going to do. And, but, this is a God thing. These people moved in down below us, and they were just this amazing family. They were so happy, and he had a job as a janitor, which, to be happy and
At
have
the
a job as
hospital.
a janitor, kind of like, oh, how can that be? But they had 4 kids. The oldest was already gone from home, and then they had 3 daughters in high school, maybe 14 and up. And they went to church all the time, and they were just the happiest people. So anyway, God just put it on my heart to go down there and ask them if they would watch you boys. And they loved you guys. They just loved you. And so they did. And so when Trent was born, they took care of you guys, and they took care of you for a whole year. Not really taking care of
Do
you.
you remember their names? What was
Oh,
it?
of course,
Sure.
Ken
Hazel.
and Hazel Davis. And actually,
Hazel's still alive.
yeah, their son, Ken Davis, he has a show on the radio, Lighten Up. They're a strong Christian family, I think.
He's a minister.
He's a minister. 1 or 2 of the daughters became ministers. Anyway, they were wonderful people in our lives, and they also, changed my view of Christianity. I'd never seen people have that much fun going to church. And
The other part of that story, that they were really good, but then we needed a babysitter, ongoing every day. And your mother had a friend at work that her husband worked at the hospital, which was it was a hospital in St. Peter where they put in people that had psychiatric problems. And so he says, we were out with them or something one night, and they said, he says, I know a woman here that it would be just perfect for you. Viola, and he said that she is only in this hospital because her kids put her here because she fell in love with the priest. Because she was his housekeeper and fell in love with the priest, and her kids put her in here, and there's not a thing wrong with her. Well, she took care of you guys for
2 years.
Almost 2 years. She was just wonderful, just wonderful. So, I mean, that really solved a big
How
problem.
did that work then? Did you break her out of the hospital?
No, I mean, every
Oh,
day,
yeah, you went and
every
got her.
morning I went and picked her up, and she rode with me to our place and took care of your kids. And at night when I came home from school, I went back and took her back. So it was,
She could have lived with us.
we paid her, I forget how much a week, not very much.
I don't know, it was probably $13 or something.
I was very,
I don't know.
nothing.
She could have lived with us, but we didn't have any room. We had, you and Todd were in the crib, you shared the crib. And Trent went into the playpen. That was his bed.
Well, anyhow,
You made
so the deal was that, we got through, we had everything we had things fit together really well. I mean, comparatively speaking, through all that, raising all those
Craziness,
kids and all this, going to college and all this stuff. Well, I ended up graduating in '67, in the summer of '67.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I was taking 18, 20 hours, talk about, I was a football fan and all, I never watched football. I went to the library on Sunday, and I just studied like a madman. And so I got through school in those 2 years, and I think probably in less than, think about all the time I worked, I don't think I probably got through in less than 2 years, well less than 2 years.
But he went through the summers and
Yeah, I
even
did
though he was
summers
that
and
fall.
everything. Anyhow, so I graduated with Hubert Humphrey's son from business college. And Bob Humphrey was his name. Well, I don't know whatever happened to Bob. He had a gorgeous wife, I know that. Anyhow, he ended up not doing very well. But Hubert Humphrey and his entourage because he was at that time Vice President of the United States under Johnson. So Hubert Humphrey was at my graduation.
It was kind of a big deal.
And didn't he hold one of you kids, or didn't?
No, it wasn't. It was Miles Lord.
Oh, Miles Lord.
That helped me with the boys. I don't know how I managed to
Well,
bring
Miles Lord.
3 babies.
This
to
is kind of
graduation.
this is kind of interesting. Miles Lord was he was a judge in Minneapolis. And guess who sold our house? Virginia Lord.
His daughter. Life is a small world.
Did you tell her that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I didn't listen
I
to
did,
him,
yeah.
so,
But anyway, you know, I think the best thing of our lives actually was, I mean, those were just monumental years. But, I mean, having babies it just really grounds you. I mean, that's just the most important thing in your life, and it keeps you focused. You know, like, you have goals, and we lived on, like $300 a month.
Well, you could buy a lot of groceries for 20 bucks.
Well, but still, I mean, we fed you, and of course we, didn't have diaper service or any amenities, but on $25 a week, and we ate well. We never went out. I think a big night was maybe two beers and
a big night was moms would come over because they didn't have any kids. Bill and Emily mom. They would come over and he'd bring a 6-pack and we'd drink a 6-pack of beer and watch you guys wrestle on the floor. I mean, they thought that was just a really big entertainment.
It was just so cute. And then when Trent came over, it was, I don't know, you were good babies. And
It was not
Anyway.
that, didn't seem that hard. Maybe we had a lot of energy, I don't know.
well, the summer that Trent was born, that was probably the hardest summer of my life because it was so blazing hot in this,
No air conditioning.
no air conditioning, in this, flat top building. It was very, and my body after 3 babies and 13 months and going, morning to night.